All right, welcome to our video today in farm management. Now what we're going to talk about today is continuing with time value of money. Except when we talk about time value of money, Excel is the tool we're shifting to. Before we looked at using your calculator, but now we're going to move to time value of money and using the tool called Excel. Now in Excel we're allowed to use these formulas and functions, and so one of the things that's really basic in any farm management is be able to calculate loans, principal, interest, time, and you might want to use Excel to get that done. So what we're going to do today is go over how to calculate a loan, a complete amortization schedule in Excel. Let's take a look. All right, I've got for you a example here. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. And so I've got a loan. The loan is for $76,800. That's actually called present value because that's the loan today, and that's what it's worth today. The rate is going to be 7%, and in Excel, remember, we use the decimal 0.07. That's I per year for our calculations, and then time is 6. That's 6 years, and an N. Now, in this payment, we're going to do a loan that is paid by the month. And so really we're going to make some adjustments to these. Of course, it's going to be 6 times 12 because that's the periods, and then 7%, 0.07 divided by 12. All right, so this is the loan deal. It's paid by the month, and so I went ahead and started the loan amortization, and we talked about this in class. Loan amortization is a function of time, payment, principal, and interest, which these two are what make up your payment. And then finally, what's left over with the loan. I've started the loan amortization. Time is the first thing to do. And in Excel, instead of typing in 2, 3, 4, because we're 6 times 12 here, so we're 72 months. So I can just actually highlight 0 and 1. And when I go down here to copy and paste, this little plus key lets me run down. And so that is going to be, as we said, 72 payments. So I just run down and get to 72, and I get 1 through 72. All right, the payment is going to start not today at time value 0. At time value 0, the only thing you have is a loan balance. So what I did was I just pressed equals and grabbed that loan balance, so it's there. All right. Now, first thing to do is calculate payment. So let's calculate payment. We're going to use this function method here, and then we can just say that we want the payment and use PMT, time value of money, and it'll come up with that payment. All right, double click it, and it asks us the questions. All right, what's the rate? Well, the rate is going to be 0.07, but remember I have to divide it by 12. The N is going to be 6, but again, I have to multiply it times 12. And then the present value is what our loan is. Now remember, present value is a function of what we call discount. So if you put a negative in front of that, you can identify that's my loan. Choose enter, and there is our payment. Looks like it's going to be $1309.36 a month for this $76,800 item. Now the payment's going to repeat every month, so I just go down to the next month and choose equals and select that payment, and then I can just copy and paste that all the way down. What that does is that gives me my payment every month to be the same. All right, now let's talk about the next one, principal and interest. Well, I'm going to go with interest first. So interest is going to be equals whatever the loan balance is multiplied times, multiplied times, and I'm going to close my brackets here, our rate of interest, but remember we have to divide that by 12 because every month we're paying interest. So it looks like $448, hit that dollar symbol, and that's what it is per month. So principal then must be our loan balance, not loan balance, our payment minus whatever interest is supposed to be. So it looks like every time we make our first payment anyway, not every time, but we make our first payment, principal is going to be taken out of the loan for that amount. That amount is what it cost us in interest, and then the balance is, well, whatever our previous balance was minus the principal. All right, so those are the formulas to get us started. Now, if I go back and double click on principal, as I copy down to the next cell, next cell, next cell, you want these two to both go down, so that's set. If I double click on interest, every time I move it down a row to calculate the rest of the months, I do want the balance to move each time. That's perfect, but I don't want that interest rate So as we talked about in class, I'll put a dollar symbol in front of the 4, and that way when I go down to 10, 11, 12, 13, this won't move from 4 to 5 to 6. I want it to stay right there. So a dollar symbol in front of whatever you don't want to move, which in this case is a row, will stop that cell from moving. So hit enter. And then the next is the balance. And so really whatever the previous balance is minus principal should change every time I go down. So I've got these formulas written. So I just simply copy and paste them all the way to the bottom. And that will give me at the very end what you're looking for, is a loan balance equal to 0 at the end. Because when I make my last payment, I'm paying very little interest. All right, so farm management-wise, let's go and look at this. Whenever you borrow money, interest that you pay is going to be a bigger portion up front. Every time you pay your loan payment, you're getting a smaller loan balance. Therefore, interest becomes less and less, and your payment, is able to then start paying more and more of the loan off. So in the very beginning, it looks like we're paying a little over almost $450 to $400 a month is just the interest. So we're paying $1,300 and 400 of it or more is just interest, and we're paying principal of only 900. However, when you move way down here towards the end, you are making payments, but your balance is so small that every month you're doing mostly principal, and that way interest is very little. And so that starts to accelerate as we go. And finally, in our last payment, we're still paying the same $1,309, but it's actually paying quite a bit of the principal because there's very little interest left. Okay, so this is how to use Excel to calculate a loan payment and a complete amortization schedule, which for a business may be the way that you look at this, because as we're moving through time, maybe you get to period 30 and you can quickly see that our loan balance here in this period is $49,669. So you're about to pay a $1,300 payment, and then you're going to see principal and interest. But you might look at this and say, you know what, I'm just ready to pay it off. I've got the cash, so that's what we'll owe. All right, so hopefully this helps using Excel to calculate a loan and a complete loan amortization.